This podcast is drawn language.
Elephantitis is when something gets bloated and ugly. Like your ass. Welcome to the Guys Podcast. I'm Rob, that's Liam, and this week we watched 1985's Explorers. Not The Explorers, which we all seem to do. A film that starts with so much charm and promise, you can't help but get swept up in it. The first 2/3 are pure 80s magic, imagination, wonder, DIY sci-fi energy, and three child actors, Ethan Hawke, River Phoenix, and Jason Presson, who absolutely carry the film. They bring this earnest, wide-eyed enthusiasm that makes the adventure feel real. Like you're right there building the Thunder Road with them. For a while, Explorers feels like it's gearing up to join the greats, the kind of 80s kids' adventure films but built on curiosity, invention, and that sense of limitless possibility. The dream sequences, the homemade spaceship, the suburban sci-fi vibe, it all works. It's charming, it's inventive, and you can see the movie Joe Dante wanted to make. And then, the third act arrives, and the whole thing goes off the rails. Not because Dante lost the plot, but because the studio yanked the film out of his hands. Paramount rushed the release date by nearly 2 months, forced him to submit an unfinished cut, pushed the movie into theatres before he could finish editing. Whole subplots were cut, nearly an hour of footage was left incomplete, and the ending we got is basically a studio-mandated patch job. You can feel the moments where the film stops being Dante's vision and starts being Paramount's panic. It's still a fascinating watch because underneath the chaos is a genuinely great film, one that deserved the time to be finished properly. Now, again, as in my last choice, I've seen this film before. I, even back then, knew that the last act was a bit of a joke. But I have to ask Liam, for somebody who's finally seen this film, am I right? First 2/3 are great, and then the last third,
100%. Absolutely. I'd heard rumors that, it kind of goes off the rails a little bit in the last act. And I thought, it's going to feel a bit rushed. You lose a bit of the magic. And it's obviously building up towards something. I was like, maybe they won't, land the plane, so to speak. For an hour, I was fully invested in this movie. It's not without fault. It doesn't quite look, this was released the same year as The Goonies. And famously, the reason it flopped at the box office is because it was released like a week after Back to the Future and the same time as Live Aid. So, yeah, never a fucking chance.
Yeah.
But it is charming. For an hour, it is, and because of the cast you mentioned already, it is one of the better kind of Amblin style kids adventure movies. And then the last 30 minutes is one of my least favorite endings to any movie possibly ever. And maybe it's because of the build-up, because I was so on board that when it goes wrong, when it goes so spectacularly, horribly fucking wrong, that it just broke my heart. I hated the third act of this movie is a disaster. And I'd love to know what Joe Dante's initial kind of vision was for the end of this film, if it was even close to this, or whether Paramount have completely shit the bed.
I haven't been able to figure out what because I don't think he said, or if he has, I've missed it, about what he wanted the ending to be. But you're right. As soon as it gets into space, it's rushed. It's awful. There's no plot. There's no nothing. We're going to meet some aliens.
Their problems.
An alien is going to talk.
It's the tonal shift, which
the tonal shift is awful as well. But the alien is going to just talk in pop culture references. The one kid who wanted there to be life on other planets is totally disillusioned with this now, and
that's the only thing I liked about it was the two things which almost let you get away with it. Almost doesn't, but almost. One is the fact that when I found out they were kids, that goes some way towards explaining why they're acting like complete morons. So you're just like, all right, I'll give them a little bit of leeway. And Ben, who is like, if anything in this film, too much of an idealist, his level of disappointment at least matches my own. Like, it feels like the end of this movie broke his heart as much as it broke my own.
Yeah. And the fact that they were kids, does it make you feel more or less icky that the alien was trying to fuck River Phoenix?
It's less icky for sure. I was genuinely relieved. When I found out they were kids, it's like, oh, thank God, that wasn't an adult alien trying to have sex with 12-year-old River Phoenix. And by the way, I'm sure we'll get to this. River Phoenix, this was a year before Stand By Me.
Yes. What a change, isn't it? What
a change. I mean, I know that people will be like, oh, well, he was wearing the cool 50s get-up, and, in this film, he's wearing the classic pedophile's glasses and dressed like a middle-aged accountant. But he legitimately looks 6 years older in Stand By Me. I don't think that's an exaggeration.
No.
If you had told me, what's the gap between these two films? I mean, like 5-6 years. Like in that, he looks like 10. In Stand By Me, he looks like 16.
So what I think...
it's insane.
What I think happened was this was the first time, like, he's come off the commune to do this film. And then he stayed
because his parents were hippies and everything. Yeah,
and he stayed off the commune and he's done Stand By Me. So the year of living off the commune has hit him hard. Like, he's lived a life in that year between Explorers and Stand By Me.
And I, like I said, like, it will make a difference. The fact, that he's dressed like more of an adult than any of the other kids in Stand By Me. All the other kids are kind of dressed like kids. He has the cool rolled up like sleeves on the white t-shirt.
He's the greaser. He's the
greaser. Yeah. They tried to make him look cool and iconic in a way. Obviously, he's not in this, but he still, the fact remains, he looks considerably older, and he feels so much more confident on screen. He's very likable in this. You can see why this led to bigger things for Ethan Hawke and River Phoenix in particular. Although, saying that, I actually thought Jason Preston as Darren was equally fantastic. Very much the Winston Zeddemore of this movie. Just kind of comes in, levels it all down. You've got these, like, this wacky scientist, this other kid who's like an absolute idealist, and then you get Preston who comes in, who's just like, well, this is all pretty mental.
Well, he's kind of like the pragmatist, isn't he? But he also felt a bit like Timu Rudy from Monster Squad.
100%. Great shot.
He's rocked up to stop the fight, but he's not as cool as Rudy, so he runs away as well. He's lost his Walkman. His dad's a drinker, but his dad's cool.
Well, that's one of the things, because so often in this movie, when you have the cool kid, like Monster Squad's a perfect example, it's okay for a moment, but then you have the questions like, why is he hanging around with these like nerds and these kids? Whereas at least with this, Darren's not like inherently cool. He's just a nice kid almost, kind of thing. Like, he does the right thing. But yeah, I mean, they're all playing classic archetypes. You get the idealist, the oddball, the everyday, more grounded. It's like, you make the argument that Wolfgang, if I was going to compare it, the most obvious comparison being the Goonies, of course, is like a cross between Chunk and Data. Mouth would be Darren, and then Mikey, and would be Ben, kind of thing. Again, this film suffers like another Joe Dante film. When we did it, as great as The Howling is, it came out the same year as Werewolf from
in London. American Werewolf in London.
American Werewolf in London. I forgot the first bit. My apologies.
Yeah.
And of course, as good as it wasn't as good as that absolute genre classic. And it feels like, ending aside, this movie is suffering from the same issue. The Explorers, for an hour, is very good. But in 1985, we're only talking about one kids' movie, and that's The Goonies, sadly.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, like I said, even if we got the required ending for this film, would it have been? It's never going to beat The Goonies, unfortunately.
No. It's just even at its best, it's not as good as The Goonies. It's just.
But is it in a discussion of the pantheon of these kind of films from the 80s? You're looking at, like, obviously The Goonies, but then Stand By Me to a point. I put Last Starfighter in it. I don't, and you don't. But a lot of people say things like Flight of the Navigator is a beloved 80s film. We didn't like it. But
we weren't as fast, but I get it. And this film actually has quite a bit in common with The Last Starfighter, actually. If you combine the first and the second half, Starfighter actually fits somewhere in the middle in terms of, it has that sense of adventure. It has the ship, and it has like the references, and it's quite goofy, but it balances those two worlds better than this film does. I actually for an hour, I prefer this film to not The Last Starfighter.
I wondered if you were meaning Flight of the Navigator.
Yeah, sorry, Flight of the Navigator. But because the end drops off so much, at least with Flight of the Navigator, it's consistent in a way that this film isn't.
Yeah. You said as well, because the earliest sections of Explorers, for me, are Joe Dante firing all cylinders. The dream sequences, the computer-generated circuit boards, you have the boys experimenting with the force field bubble. It's inventive, charming, and full of personality. It's that kind of sci-fi that feels handmade. Like, you could build it in your garage if you had enough spare parts and zero adult supervision. And it's also one of the best portrayals of childhood curiosity, I think. The film understands how kids think, how they obsess, how they latch onto ideas and chase them with reckless enthusiasm. But then you get let down by the ending again.
I do, but even the ending, it's a design issue. It's rather than like an effects issue. So Rob Bottin worked on this, who famously also worked on The Howling. So
Joe
had the issue of he did one of the greatest transformation sequences of all time, but it just so happened to come the same year as the greatest transformation sequence of all time.
Did he work on Gremlins as well then? Is he a Joe Dante original?
I think he worked on Gremlins. He definitely worked on The Thing, RoboCop, Inner Space. So, a bunch of his songs. So I haven't got it down here, but I wouldn't be surprised if he worked on Gremlins too. But this film looks good. And even the end, the ship, the aliens, from a technical perspective, for an 80s film, you're like, this still looks good. I just hate the way they went. And again, it's so inconsistent with what came earlier, because the stuff earlier, like you say, the dream sequences, there's a little bit of never-ending story about them. Certainly a bit of Tron about them. It's like never-ending story crossed with Tron almost kind of thing. And even though they're quite chintzy, they, like Tron itself, and we talked about this in the past, there would have been a kind of window where this would have looked a little bit rubbish in a little bit of its time. But it's kind of past that now and become nostalgic and quite charming. And for even the aliens, because it's all practical, they actually look impressive. The ship, you can see the kids are standing in a ship. The aliens, their suits, all the moving parts, you're like, that is technically impressive. I just hate the design, and I hate the noises coming out of the mouth. That's not Rob Bottin's fault. He did a great job. It was just Paramount's decision to go a certain way at the end of the film.
The design of Thunder Road, I thought was great. Again, as I've already said it makes you feel like something kids would make. We've probably made things like that. Obviously, we never had aliens implanting technological advances into our head to make it fly, but we've put a bunch of shit together as kids growing up that we pretended were spaceships or cars,
of
or
course,
things like that.
And that's the brilliance of these movies. So again, if we're going to take Goonies in this, for instance, it's what it does is plant the idea that this adventure is within your reach. It's like, the sequence at the junkyard, for instance. And I don't know what it is with River Phoenix and junkyards at that time of his life, because, it was a very similar sequence in Stand By Me just a year later. Only this time, I think they killed the dog by feeding it, chewing gum. I don't think that's healthy for a dog. But
that's
anyway,
okay. They were going to teach him to blow bubbles, so it's fine.
Oh, it's absolutely fine. Yeah. But you know what I mean? They go to this junkyard, and it's kind of like the attic in the Goonies. And everyone knows this where a junkyard is. Everyone has a house with a big attic, or so they know someone with a house with a big attic. But of course, these are the ultimate imaginative versions of those. They go up to the attic. There's all these like paintings, and there's treasure maps and stuff. And here at the junkyard, it's like they just happen to have stuff from an old fairground ride, and it's all magical. So yes, it's slightly unrealistic, but it's just turned up a few notches from what, at least when you're a kid, you imagine what might be at the junkyard just around the corner. And I think that's the genius of it. And this movie, when it's at its best, captures that sense of adventure, both in terms of the narrative, the characters, as you said, and also the visuals. And I'm not just talking about the special effects. It's got that Amblin vibe. When we did the last podcast, we talked about that 90s orange hue that Tony Scott gave to the fan. This has that kind of magical blue hue.
Yeah, the blue, the blue effect.
And it just adds a sense of magic to suburban America, which was unique to the 80s. And they have it. Nothing's like kind of shows the separation in tone in this movie clearer than the two posters you'll see. So if you Google this movie and say like Explorers poster, you get one where it's like a garden fence. It's two BMXs. It's all the quintessential 80 things, and it's all kind of bathed in this magical blue suburban glow.
It's very ET vibes. That
very
poster.
ET vibes, and it's fantastic, and it totally speaks to the first hour of the movie. The other poster has their fucking giant heads on it, a goofy alien, and you're like, okay, that's the last 30 minutes of this movie. And unsurprisingly, that poster is complete ass compared to the other one.
I've decided now we're not friends anymore because you mentioned you mentioned Rob Bottin, and you've gone into Rob Bottin's like catalog, and you've seen the films he's done, and you said a bunch of the films. But I've just gone in. This is the first time I've actually looked at his list, and I'm very upset that all the films you've said, and you haven't mentioned Deep Rising.
Oh, how could I forget Deep Rising?
Honestly,
your beloved Deep Rising.
Honestly, very upset. He was like the special makeup effects designer and creator of it, and he did the creature design. I mean,
there's some cool stuff in Deep Rising. Unsurprisingly, we covered it on the podcast already. I wouldn't say it's his best work, and it's not his fault again because it's the CG, which we mentioned at the time. It's that
I love Deep Rising.
The practical effects are there. Some of the CG is of its time, shall we say?
But so. Because we're going to talk a lot about, or we already have talked a lot about the studio interference and damage in this film. I think none more so than like Dick Miller as the police helicopter
Charlie
pilot.
Drake.
Yes, Charlie Drake. Yeah, so he rocks up.
Who is the quintessential Joe Dante kind of like character? He is the guy, isn't he? He's in all his movies.
It looks like he's got a whole backstory where he's also had the dreams. He wants, like, he's trying to figure out, and they've cut him all out to 3 scenes where he flies the helicopter. He's talking to his partner on the phone, and then he rocks up to, I forgot his name, Ben. He's rocked up to Ben and went, "Well done, spaceman." What? Well,
it's honestly, nothing says studio interference more than an apparently important character who just fucking disappears. And this might be one of the most extreme cases I've ever seen. Because like you said, for like 10 minutes, they're building him up to be this thing, this connection to like Earth and like, or to the world of grown-ups, to a little bit of understanding. And there's going to be this big crossover. I'm like, cool. To the point where the film ended and I was doing my notes and I was like, oh yeah, of course Dick Miller was in this film. He's in all of, Joe Dante's films. I was like, wait a minute. What the hell happened to Dick Miller in this film? Yeah. They build it up and he just disappears.
He watched
nothing.
He watched them take off and that was it. The other one as well was Steve Jackson's gang not getting their comeuppance. Like,
totally.
They appeared, they attacked Wolfgang.
With the Karate Kid bully.
Yeah, and they're beating Ben up and Ben's done the elephantitis joke and stuff. And then all of a sudden they've just fucked off. Like nothing's happened.
Yeah, it's bizarre. And I like that sequence because early doors is really leaning, we mentioned it a bunch of times on this podcast, especially recently when we did Invaders from Mars and, we referenced The Blob and stuff, that so many directors from the 80s understandably were obsessed with 50s B movies because they grew up with them.
Yeah.
And you get a lot of that, including that gang. They look like a bunch of kids from the 50s. What was that? What was the Stephen King novel where the kids sometimes they come back?
Yeah. I mean, the one kid was wearing a leather jacket and a bald head. He could have been off the film The Wanderers.
Yeah. 100%. Like, it's totally got that. And I love the fact that it has all those 50s B movies inspirations. Like, at the start, you get the World's on TV. It came from Outer Space poster. And then, even though the stuff at the end doesn't work, I do actually like the way it's shot, where the only bit that really works for me is when Whack or Neek or whatever the fuck they're called are explaining why they don't want to go down to Earth because this is how they think they're going to be attacked by humans. And they show sequences like overlaid over the characters of 50s B movies. I was like, that bit is really cool. And he's wearing his inspirations on his sleeve. But again, it feels like it's kind of lost halfway through the movie because of the change in tone, despite, because again, it just starts feeling goofy instead of something quite imaginative, I think.
You were shocked as well of River Phoenix's change between this and Stand 100%. By Me.
Yeah.
What about fucking Bradley Gregg? He was one of the gang members in this, just a young youth. Yeah. And in fucking 1 year later, he's Eyeball Chambers in Stand By Me.
Kid. Oh, of course he was in Stand By Me. Yeah, he's one of the... Did he always play... He was in Karate Kid too. Am I making that up? Or
I don't think he was in Karate Kid, no.
I've gone to the wrong place. Sorry, I said Karate Kid. I had it in my head that he was one of the Cobra Kai. But no, I think I'm just mixing up the two movies. I can totally see it now. He's one of the gang members from Stand By Me.
He's the brother. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's what's it called, brother? He's Eyeball too. He's River Phoenix's brother.
Yeah.
Eyeball, yeah.
Yeah, I've just mixed that with Karate Kid. That's totally my bad. But it's cool because this film, again, at its best, it combines 50s nostalgia with what would be for us now 80s nostalgia. It's like this is immediately ticking a lot of those 80s boxes. It's got nerds, it's got bullies, BMXs, idealized suburban town, spying on hot girls. Yes, we'll get to why that's quite suspect in this film, but it was a part of cinema in the 80s. A playground fight, bullies dressed like they're from a 50s B movie, like we just suggested there. Just mentioned there. Sorry. It works on two levels for me because it's like you get that B movie 50s kick. Also, I'm getting nostalgia from the 50s. I'm like, oh, this is like, cinema at its finest in many respects. It's fun, like I said, for a quote unquote Liam movie, this is, doing a lot. But and again, it comes down to the fact that like the disappointment at the end feels all the more palpable because it does so much right for an hour. So I don't want to get totally caught up on the last 30 minutes. I think we've already stressed. We both agree it shits the bed, but there's loads of there's enough good stuff to almost recommend it.
Yeah, and those three kids are doing a lot of hard work and they're doing really well. James Cromwell rocking up as Wolfgang's dad is
that was a random one
I've ever fucking seen.
He's looked the same forever, by the way.
He's looking, but I don't know, put a white coat on him and glasses, and all of a sudden and give him the weirdest, I don't know, German Dutch accent.
It's a weird accent. Everything about those sequences, I thought, like, they just stressed me out because the house is such a mess. There was one bit in particular when I assume it was one of his brothers is eating breakfast while wearing a mask. And it's just, I don't know why, like it's my OCD. I was just watching like, oh dude, just fucking stop being so goddamn loud and messy. I think I go insane in the house. Absolutely insane.
I think a lot of things, like when we talk about getting cut out as well, it's like Ben's home life. The only thing we get of him having a home life is he talks to his mum. There's two scenes with his mum. The one at the beginning where she comes in and turns the TV off, and then the one where
Yeah.
he gives her a hug because he thinks he's leaving her forever. Is it okay if I become a spaceman? Yeah, it'll be fine.
Dude, he's writing his, like, again, talk about tonal shift. Just before they go and meet the aliens and this turns into a goddamn fairground ride, he's writing his last will and testament.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, this is getting dark. No, it's not, dude. It's about to get goofy as hell.
But again, he's the only one who thinks he's not coming back. The other
But then
two are
he
like, we
never
are going to
acts
come
like
back.
that when he's on the ship. Like, he's always the one pushing it. It's like, nah, we'll be fine. Like, again, the whole idealistic thing. Every turn, they just, it's like, what's his name? Wolfgang is always like, listen, we're pushing this too far. We've got to go back. We'll do a test. And go. He's always like, nah, we'll be fine. Oh, we'll just go on the spaceship. No problems. It's just like he's constantly pushing it. And it completely goes against the fact that 2 minutes earlier, he's writing his last will and testament. Like, my God, I'm fully aware of how dangerous this is, and I might not come back. The only answer is Ben is quite suicidal.
You mentioned Wolfgang as well. For a genius who was able to decipher a dream into a flight bubble using his Apple Mac computer.
Of course.
The fact he didn't know he was on the fucking ground twice.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing with scientists. They're good with the numbers and stuff, but practically they're not always the best.
Practically they're not always the best, but I'm pretty sure you could just look out and see that you're not on the ground.
Yeah. No, there's some weird stuff. As you said, like, we've got to mention the Peeping Tom stuff. I think it's important that this movie has a young Ethan Hawke in it because he's just about charming enough to get away with it. But it feels like every time they have like this access to like magical space powers, he's basically just like, should we just use it so I can, Peeping Tom on Laurie? It's just like, dude, you're doing that again? It's bizarre.
But he wasn't even that far away from her window. How she didn't know that there was a kid sitting cross-legged outside of her, like literally outside of her window is insane.
No,
and he's not even whispering
sense.
as well when he's on the radio to him as well. He's going up, down, left. Like, dude, she's right there.
She's right there. She's going to notice. But his plans were poor. I can't decide if Ben is quite smart or if he's a complete moron. Because again, he's into all these like scientific things, a sense of adventure. But I know they're playing it off like he's daydreaming, and that's the problem. But he's clearly not the smart kid in class. So I can't get to grips with what kind of kid Ben is. Is he popular at all, or is Laurie just hopelessly out of his league? I don't know.
It's funny because they're making him the dreamer as well, and he has but then he's the dreamer, and he's got all this, all these bright ideas about wanting to be a spaceman. His best friend is a scientist, but a lot of them, it's like halfway through they just go, oh, by the way, let's make him think with his dick as well.
Yeah, it's quite bizarre. And the whole, again, you mentioned the fact that there are numerous reasons why this feels rushed and how there must be a lot on the cutting floor. Laurie is another example of that. Laurie, played by, whose name I'm going to forget now, Amanda Peterson, who is probably most famous for being in Can't Buy Me Love. But she's perfectly charming in it. But you have like two sequences in the classroom. He peeps on her a few times. And then the end, when they come back to Earth, she inexplicably and for no reason wakes up and goes to the crash site, and just all of a sudden then she's in love with him. And you get that last sequence. We already mentioned this. It feels like a cross between the Never-Ending Story and Tron. Only this also throws in a hint of Superman, the movie. The scene when he takes out Lois to fly.
And they're talking through their minds and
stuff.
Oh,
yeah, you can hear my thoughts and all. Yeah, it's a great movie with a terrible sequence, and that is the terrible sequence. But for some reason, they're all like... They're suggesting that they're all dreaming in class because his alien beacon thing has gone off. All the kids are dressed as they are in the classroom. And then Laurie, for no reason, is dressed in a 90. And she seems to be totally down with it. Like, yeah, I knew this all along. I'm just like, dude, there is a scene amiss in here for sure.
Okay, so that's my Rob take as well.
Okay, there we go. Sorry for jumping in there.
No, that's absolutely fine. I'll do it now. It saves us talking about it again. Is the fact that the alien... Whack or whatever his name was, talks about Laurie, and he says, Ben says, I wish Laurie was my girlfriend. And he says, she will be. And now he's implanted in her mind. He's implanted in her mind.
Oh, that's why she woke up when
that's why she's woken up.
Oh, are you saying this is like low-key Obsession, the movie?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, this is totally
he's literally implanted in her mind. By the way, you need to fuck Ben.
Yeah.
And like, you've woken up and you've gone to the crash site. That's great. But also now you're going to be dragged into the dreams for future films that will never happen.
And you can't help it. You're just in love with Ben against your own will. And we know how Obsession turned out. Not goddamn. Have you seen Obsession?
I haven't, but I do know.
Yeah,
I do know.
I'm sure you can guess by the tone. It doesn't end well. It doesn't end well at all. And yeah, I didn't even think about that. That is exactly the reason why she's suddenly interested, is because of the magical fucking alien device, which is just putting the moves on her, and suddenly she can't help but be in love with Ben. The end of based on that, the end of this film is super disturbing.
It's creepy because he literally says to him, "Oh, something on the way home," and he's going, "Oh, I wish she was my girlfriend." Oh, she will be, like she will be.
It's like when the thing goes off, all of a sudden she's in the dreams. It makes sense. It's a solid theory. It's a disturbing theory, but God knows it's a solid one.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Let's
get to the more positive side of this film.
They're Rob takes for a reason, you know.
Yeah, I just think there's more to that one, to be honest. But before, as I said, things get weird, I do love when, you get that kind of almost montage sequence when they're building the Thunder Road. And you get like a bunch of cool movie references. Obviously, Thunder Road. I mean, they say it's a reference to a Bruce Springsteen track. I think of it more as a kind of reference to Mad Max almost. There's a Poltergeist reference there here. And I've got to assume that the whole Robert Picardo fake B movie where he's playing Starkiller is a Star Wars reference, because that's what it was supposed to be called originally, wasn't it? It was supposed to be Luke Starkiller and all that jazz. So I assume that's going to be the case. But when they're building the ship and, they finally go into space, again, aesthetically, I think it's absolutely fantastic. I do think Ben is surprisingly underwhelmed by the fact that they're going into space. That's the only thing I'll say. Like, Ben, he's so on board with this. And then they go into space. He just seems to be nonplussed. They meet aliens. Sentient, yeah, of course, the aliens are annoying, but he's met sentient life from another planet, and he's like, I'm not that fussed. I'm like, come on, Ben, come on. Like, even if aliens are dickheads, this is like the first for mankind, dude. Take the win.
I'm really glad as well that they were able to go into space with oxygen masks stolen from a hospital and a World War II gas mask.
Yeah, I just don't think that's working. I don't think that's working at all. I mean, they just got the spaceship assuming there's going to be oxygen.
But where are they getting the oxygen tanks from?
Fuck knows. A deleted scene. The answer in most cases is going to be a deleted scene from the movie we should have got.
The one thing I did like about the aliens at the end was when Ben was trying to justify everything. You got these two aliens coming up and they're just fucking sick as shit by the sounds of it. And he's trying to justify it. He's, you've come before and you just want to see what humans are like, and now you're coming to give us all the knowledge of the universe, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. And they go, no, we haven't been on Earth before because you scare the fuck out of us because we've seen all of your videos. And yeah, I mean, to be fair, if all they're doing is watching the transmissions from Earth and they're seeing a lot of like people from other worlds coming and getting just blown up, and Ben's like, well, it's a movie. Do they know what that is though? They might think these are Galaxy Quest. They might think these are historical records.
Of course, historical documents. Yeah. But that's the thing. Like, even with the ship, it's like, yeah, I get that, and they're kids and they're quite goofy and stuff. But that doesn't explain why the ship has a stop motion monstrosity. Then it's like the first thing. Again, they're oddly calm about it.
The alien that gropes the two boys.
Dude, the pat down he gets from that goddamn alien is just unnecessary. Yeah. It's just unnecessary. But the alien itself, it looks cool. It's stop motion, but it looks like something from a horror film. It totally does. But then, in the same kind of sequence, you also get a slide on the spaceship, because there is something about the 80s where they're just like, we want slides in movies. There's one in Predator. There's one in Indiana Jones. We're just like, there's obviously one in Goonies.
Yeah.
They don't make sense, but we're like, it would be nice to have everyone loves slides. Let's just get a slide into this movie. Even on spaceships, they don't give a shit. But yeah, I'd totally forgotten about that weird stop motion monstrosity, which again felt like it was from a different movie.
Oh, it was creepy as hell, because with the
super creepy.
And then it finds Laurie. Did it find Laurie's picture in his back pocket?
Yeah, that's what it's patting down for.
Why does he have Laurie's picture in his back pocket? Like, where has he got this picture from, and why is he carrying it around?
Well, you get a few weird things in this film. It's like, yes, the Laurie picture is strange, but Darren, later in the film, when he goes to give, because obviously Wackett or Neek, whoever it is, the one who does the sing song, the 50s kind of style of rock and roll song, he's
all
like,
around the world, rock and roll is here to stay.
It's quite a catchy tune, but he gives him his his Walkman to say, oh, this is 80s music, give this a listen. But he also has a fucking frog in his pocket. Why does he have a frog in his pocket? It's like a squeaky frog toy, like the kind you would give a dog. And I was like, did I miss a sequence? Because
no, he brought that with him. There was a sequence where
I missed it.
When they were getting onto the ship or something, and they brought all the supplies, he had the weird frog toy. I don't know. Again, I don't know why.
We don't know why.
Whether he stole it from his dad or something.
Still doesn't explain why you would feel the need to carry a frog toy in his pocket, but at least it was established.
Makes him feel good. If he was leaving Earth and he didn't think he was coming back, maybe he's taking the one thing that reminds him of his mum.
Maybe deleted scene. Deleted scene. But yeah, it's just as soon as I keep getting Neek and Whack show up. Did you think that they is Neek the guy or Whack the guy?
Whack is the guy, Neek is the woman. Guy. Yeah.
Did you think Whack had a touch of Maurice from Little Monsters about him? I felt like he was a cross between the worst elements of Maurice and I think I mentioned earlier, Bumblebee in Transformers, where you can only talk in like radio transmissions, like pre-recorded.
But he's doing that on purpose.
No, I know, but in terms of the vibe it gives off, he seems to just drop in and out of it. But yeah, those were the two kind of obvious examples I had. And design-wise, that was one of the weirder things, because this movie is so obsessed with 50s B movies, is the fact that Neek and Whack don't really look like 50s B movie monsters, if you know what I mean. They don't look like those aliens.
No. In
the same way, you think of, for all its faults, the aliens from Invaders from Mars do kind of look like B movie monsters from the 50s.
Yeah.
Neek and Whack just look like 80s kind of creations, and maybe they're trying to do a crossover thing, but again, I just don't think it particularly worked.
Well, that doesn't work. I tell you what definitely doesn't work is Neek and Whack's father, when he rocks up and he's got hands for ears and he's got a big old beer belly and he's like...
Is that also played by Picardo as well? I think it's
played by Picardo, but it's voiced by Frank Welker.
Okay, well, that whole sequence, again, I like the fact that they were kids. That took a bit of the edge off, both in terms of the weird sexual interplay between species, and also kind of explain why they were just such morons. Like, why are we having like a karaoke sequence on a spaceship? It actually looks a little bit like the Predator 2 spaceship at times. Why are we suddenly having alien karaoke? Why does he have a saxophone? When you find out they're kids, you're like, okay, I'm not going to say I'll allow it, because I don't, but it makes it a little bit easier to bear. It kind of goes somewhere to at least explains what they were going for. They don't get it. They don't land the plane at all, but at least you can get an idea for what they were going for in terms of trying to find a connection with the kids. Like, are the aliens also kids? But it just doesn't work.
They're just on a joyride, aren't they? So they've seen all these transmissions. They want to come to Earth, and they've tried to find the one kid to share
who's
their experience
going to understand
with.
them. Yeah.
And they find Ben.
The best part of it is probably the Lassie joke. It's like, he rolls over fine, but I don't think he deserves a whole series. I was just like, that's pretty good, actually. That was a good joke. But yeah, the end of the film. And then, of course, you go back, we already mentioned, you have the bizarre dream sequence. And not just that, you have a credit sequence, which is mental. They keep flying. Yeah. Then you get cutaways to the characters, even though the characters are on screen. And I was like, this is so weird.
There's not many characters you need to cut away to. It's usually the three kids. And then you bring Laurie in, who was in for 2 scenes. And then you go, oh, by the way, Dick Miller gets a picture scene as well, because he would have had a bigger part.
Where he's a major character in the film.
Yeah.
Oh, so infuriating, this film. One of the, not the worst film I've ever seen by any stretch, but one of the most infuriating. But have you already done your Rob take for this film?
Well, my Rob take was
you're already covered.
Cool. My Rob take was basically using Laurie as a brainwashed sex slave by the
See, when you put it like that, oh dear, never mind. Favorite scene is probably getting the ship prepared. I mentioned earlier, like, it captures that sense of magic and adventure, that anything is that sounds cheesy, that anything is possible, but that's the point of these movies for kids when you were 10, 12. And like I said, it's, I think a lot of movies, they miss the point and they push it too far to the point where it's just unattainable. But here, like I said, with the Goonies, where they kind of sell you on the idea that if you go out on your BMX, and it has to be a BMX, it can't be a fucking mountain bike, it has to be a BMX, that you might find treasure or something just around the corner, which is going to set you off on this adventure. This movie has that, and I think it's captured perfectly in that sequence. And as I said, once they start flying and you get the suburbs, like, it's all done with matte paintings, obviously, but it looks great, and it looks kind of that time.
One time you don't do, it could have been this scene, but it's definitely this scene. Mm-hmm. And then mine is building Thunder Road. I mean, them constructing their homemade spaceship is peak 80s cinema.
Yeah.
It's messy, creative, dangerous, full of the kids doing something they absolutely shouldn't be doing energy. It's the heart of the film and the moment where the adventure feels limitless for everything you've just said.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You're building up towards this, and once you get there and they actually go up into space, you're like, man, this is a this is a belter. This is a great movie. And then, yes, then it's not. Oscar season, in which we hand out 3 Oscars and 3 Razzies in categories of our choosing. Won the Oscar for best color grading and lighting, unlike the orange in the fan, which I mentioned earlier, goes to the use of blue in this movie. I don't know what it is about it. It just looks great. It's the same as on the poster. Check it out. The Oscar for friend you want to have in your group goes to Darren. He steps in when there's a fight, low maintenance, realist. He's just the kind of guy you want him as like the 4th friend in your group. Yeah. He doesn't have to be your best friend, but you want a down in your group. And the Oscar for great casting goes to Explorers and getting the 3 kids right, because a movie of this ilk, ultimately, for its faults, highs, lows, whatever, it lives and dies by the casting of the kids. Like, again, The Goonies, Stand By Me is another one. Stand By Me is a genuinely good film. It doesn't work if you don't get the casting right. Yeah. And in Ethan Hawke, River Phoenix, and Jason Preston, they absolutely get the casting right for this movie.
For me, so the Oscar for the best homemade spaceship is Thunder Road.
Good job.
The Oscar for the best dream sequence goes to the circuit board map.
It's bizarre, right? It's so Tron, but it's cool. It totally works.
And finally, the Oscar for, best child actor trio goes to Hawke, Phoenix, and Preston. I think together 100%. They're fantastic.
There's nothing kind of tells you you're in the 80s more than like just those kind of that Tron aesthetic, which I think of. Absolutely fantastic. The Razzie for worst final act, unsurprisingly, goes to Explorers. The 3rd act is just a complete mess. The Razzie for worst alien design and ship design goes to Whack and Neek. Again, just to be clear, the actual effects themselves are impressive, but the design is horrible. And the Razzie for unnecessary peeping Tom goes to the otherwise likable Ben. I just don't think he needs to be that much of a perv. He's a pretty likable character, but every so often he's just like, oh, am I supposed to not like this kid? He's like, he should just ask Laurie out and just stop spying on her. It's getting weird.
So for me, the Razzie for the worst studio deadline goes to Paramount Pictures.
Mm-hmm.
2 months before. Fucking ridiculous.
Terrible.
The Razzie for the most unfinished ending goes to the Alien comedy finale.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, the Razzie for the worst production interruption ever is basically, you're done, we're releasing now.
And I know you don't like me usually adding a 4th Razzie or Oscar, but I think we can say this as a combined Razzie. We'd both agree with this, is the complete ejection of Dick Miller from this film.
Yeah.
Just complete abandonment of his character is an absolute crime, because he's such a likable screen presence. There's a reason he is in all of Joe Dante's movies. He's great. And when he shows up in this film, I'm glad to see him. I'm like, cool, they're going to have like a little twist on the story. No, they're not. Or they did, and it's not in the film. Such a shame. Where are we? Alternative titles? Is it just going to be The Explorers in different countries rather than just Explorers? I find it hard just saying Explorers.
Explorers. You want to add the to
you totally want to add the right?
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's like people when I used to work at McDonald's who for some reason had to add the muck in front of something. So they wanted a muck chicken, muck sandwich, or a muck fillet, muck fish. No, you don't have to put muck in front of everything.
Yeah, there's just one. There's just one. Yeah. I have one McFries. McFries. I'm thinking Back to the Future 2. Anyway, sorry, carry on.
Hey, McFry. Right, so Argentina, The Explorers. Sorry, I had to give you one.
Of course.
Brazil, Journey to the World of Dreams.
No.
Bulgaria, Researchers.
No, absolutely not.
Denmark, Exploring Space.
Too dry.
Germany, Explorers, A Fantastic Adventure.
That's okay.
Hungary, Space Rendezvous.
No, it sounds a bit too, again, erotic, doesn't it?
Yeah. Sweden, The Discoverers.
It's okay.
Okay, I'm going to say it, but this is Taiwan, Rushing Toward Taiyan Waishan.
Okay, yeah, we don't know what's going on there. That is a Google translation meltdown.
Turkey, Young Astronauts.
It's okay.
And did I say this one already? Yeah, I did, yeah. That's it.
No, this is a rare case. Argentina wins for The Explorers. The Explorers is better than just Explorers. Any facts for this one?
Yeah, we have a few. Let me just extend it so we can see them all. Explorers was in a prolonged editing phase when Paramount changed hands in the middle of production, and studio wanted to take advantage of the busy summer market, changing the initial release date of late August to early July, almost 2 months earlier. The theatrical release was the result of accelerated editing, a rush release for the summer, and was not finished to the director's satisfaction. The studio told director Joe Dante and his editing team after submitting a rough cut by the late spring of 85 that he was finished, and they were going ahead and release what he had at that point. There was about an hour and a half worth of footage that was left on the cutting room floor.
Supposedly, even quite recently, Joe Dante has tried to find the original footage to release his cut of the film, but I don't think it exists anymore, sadly.
No. When the helicopter pilot, Dick Miller, looks at the newspaper, one of the headlines says, "Kingston Falls riot, still unexplained." Kingston Falls, as we all know, was the town where the events of Gremlins took place.
That's a cool Easter egg.
Yeah.
They're the best kind of Easter eggs, really subtle ones.
The sound effects from the movie at the drive-in were taken directly from the original 1982 Atari 2600 video game, Yar's Revenge.
Dude, I was playing Yar's Revenge recently. No shit. Atari did this whole collection of basically updates to their original classic games where it retains all the classic gameplay, and it's just slightly updated graphics and maybe a few tweaks, but they're fundamentally unchanged. And Yar's Revenge is tricky to play on the Atari 2800 because the graphics are quite aggressive. I mentioned this before about in terms of nostalgia going back, you can go as far back as the NES, and their games are still genuine, the best games are still genuinely fun. The Atari 2800, because of the limited graphics and the sounds, are rough. But these updated Atari games, Yar's Revenge is a really good game. Really good game. And by the way, we didn't mention it in the main for the podcast. Excuse me. That sequence when the ship is at the drive-in and it looks like it's in the movie, that is actually a pretty elite sequence.
It is good, really good. I mean, that one guy going, that ship looks fake. Oh, it's getting closer. It's getting closer.
I just thought that was, again, encapsulating that love of 50s B movies and putting it into, I just thought that was very cool.
River Phoenix, who had grown up in communes in South America, was somewhat unfamiliar with popular culture and slang words. During rehearsals, it became a running joke when he would attempt scripted well-known words and phrases and usually pronounce them incorrectly.
It's mental, right?
As the boys look through the junkyard for the pieces for their ship, Rosebud, the sled from Citizen Kane, can be seen sitting at the top of the pile.
Nice, man. These are good Easter eggs, dude.
Yeah.
Good Easter eggs.
We've already said it, but I'll say it again. It is the feature film debut for both Ethan Hawke and River Phoenix.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Robert Picardo says the alien makeup is the most uncomfortable he has ever worn. The whack makeup was like having a typewriter balanced on his head, and the father was like balancing a television. Whilst the crew were enjoying lunch, he would have to sit there and take the pain, which drew him to tears and actually caused open lesions on his head.
Oh dear. Just not worth it, dude. Just not worth it. If you were playing the xenomorph in Alien, and you're I was in that suit for days, I had a heat exposure and it gave me welts everywhere. Dude, that sucks. But the payoff was amazing. That's one of the all-time kind of creatures in cinema history. These guys, not so much, sadly.
According to director Joe Dante, the original rough cut of the movie that he and his editors put together was around 3 hours and 15 minutes long.
Well, it definitely needed to be shorter, that's for sure. Yeah. 3 hours is too long. And I don't think this movie needs to be longer. It just needs to be tonally different. You can have a quieter, more thoughtful ending with, retain the sense of adventure, and I'd still keep it around 2 hours, I guess.
On the same newspaper that references the Gremlins, there is also a nod to The Howling. The headline references that a fire at the colony is suspected arson.
Oh, nice.
River Phoenix originally auditioned for the role of Darren Woods.
That feels more natural. If you had said, if I knew nothing about this film and you said, oh, who would River Phoenix play? Darren would totally be the obvious choice.
What else can I do here? This was released by Paramount. Whilst on the alien ship, there's a quick montage of television shows. The Paramount logo can be seen here. It's seen again during the credits when Robert Picardo's character is credited.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, God, those credits at the end. Crazy. And the choice of song as well at the end is bizarre.
The alarm that sounds right before the robotic spider is pulling out Ben's wallet is the same alarm used in Joe Dante's other film, The Burbs, on Mark's walkie-talkie, though Explorers came out 4 years earlier.
Oh, so that was a nod to the Explorers rather than the other way around. Yeah. So even there I said the Explorers rather than Explorers. But and again, I've already mentioned it, but I really do hate heavy-handed Easter eggs where they're like, oh, you get it, don't you? You get it. It's put them in there. Put them as a little treat. Don't smash people over the fucking head with it. It's like social commentary. It's I like social commentary. I've got nothing wrong with social commentary movie. But when you're just you don't have any faith in the viewers and you start a perfect example is the original Candyman versus the Candyman remake.
Yeah.
The original Candyman clearly has social commentary in it, like unquestionably. But it's you can watch it as a horror film, or you can watch it as a horror film with a social commentary. The remake just didn't have that confidence, or it just overdid it. And the ending is so unsubtle and blunt that it made me angry. Like, it ruined the rest of the movie. That's all I can remember about it. Is just how angry I was at the end.
Last one for me then, River Phoenix and Bradley Gregg, who played Eyeball Chambers.
Mm-hmm.
They'd go on to star together in Stand By Me, but also Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Oh, of course. Yeah, the intro.
He was one of the troop, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, but not in Karate Kid, just to be clear. Just not in Karate Kid. Just make that up.
The one, yeah.
The one movie he wasn't in.
You just looked at a guy that looked like a Valley Boy, and you went, "No, he was definitely Karate Kid."
I didn't check. Obviously, I didn't check it out. I just saw him. I was like, "Oh yeah, he must have been from Karate Kid." No, dickhead, he wasn't from Karate Kid. Never mind. Is that all of them? Sorry.
All right, cool.
Hug to Future. This is where we ask a question. Remake, sequel, Let It Die, Leave Well Alone. This is an interesting one because my first reaction coming from the end of the film was just Let It Die. But we talked about this before. If you're going to remake a movie with like a cool idea where they don't quite stick the landing. This is a perfect example of this. Like, this is a good idea for a movie. It just needs a better ending. So I'm not against the idea of a remake, but I also wouldn't be upset if I never heard about the Explorers again, or Explorers. Sorry.
I mean, pretty much the same thing. Not so much Let It Die, but I'd love to see. Love is a strong word. I would take a remake of this because, as you said, remake a bad one. So go ahead, remake this.
Like you said, it doesn't have to be bad, but
yeah, but see if you can land the plane on this one. See if you can get an ending that sticks and works. And unfortunately, the way films are made these days and everything, it's just going to be.
Well, the question is, like, even if you fix the ending, if they made this movie today, would the first hour be as good? And the first hour probably wouldn't be as good. You're unlikely to find young actors in the same league.
You lose that 80s nostalgia feel because technology is increased and stuff like that. So, I mean, I'd take a remake, but I could leave a remake. But it's weird because I don't want to say let this film die.
I know what you mean.
I think what I want to say is, leave well alone the first 2/3 and let the ending die.
The third act die.
Yeah.
I think the secret answer to this is somebody find the additional footage for Joe Dante so he can put out his version of this movie. Because I would, no joke, if there was like a director's cut of this film by Joe Dante, I'd be like, I'd totally watch it. 100%.
There's only 3 director's cuts I really want in history.
Mm-hmm.
And they're random ones, but well, it's this. I'd love to see the proper director's cut of this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's Highlander 2. I'd love to see the Russell McKay version of that.
Dude, we should totally do Highlander 2, man.
Yeah.
That film is ass, but we should cover it on this podcast.
And The Crow 2.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'd love to see the proper version of that, and not the unfortunate one that we've got.
In fairness, the one of the remakes I really wanted to see is one I got, and that was Zack Snyder's Justice League, because I'm a big fan of Man of Steel. For all of its faults, I thought the ultimate cut of Batman vs Superman is more good than bad. And then Justice League, they tried to turn it into a Marvel film, and I despised it. I was like, it just didn't feel like it was in lockstep with the other movies. And then, when you get wind of like, oh, no, Zack Snyder has the material. He wants to release his version of it. Again, it wasn't without fault, but it's much closer to what I thought, obviously, how that trilogy should have closed off. And I'm glad he at least had the opportunity to make that film. And that's a kind of film where I'm like, if they actually release that in IMAX in the cinema, I go back to the cinema and watch the 4-hour cut of that film.
Mate, I really want a... because The Crow City of Angels had so much premise, written by David Goyer, obviously. Mm-hmm. I really want the proper director's cut of that one.
Yeah. No, and like you said, like legitimately, this would be a perfect example where you can see the difference. You can see the studio interference. Like, give us the director's cut. So we'll go with that one. Make a change. I mean, you can guess, right? It's the third act. Total rewrite and redesign, please. That is the answer.
Let Joe Dante finish shooting. Give him the time he needs. Let him complete the emotional arc. Allow the ending to match the tone of the first 2/3. The film could have been a classic. It just needed time to breathe.
Yeah, totally. It's infuriating. In terms of video games, there wasn't an Explorers video game. I would go with cult SNES classic JRPG Earthbound, which was like one of those games that didn't get released over here for ages. There was like translations and stuff, but it's this like quirky, eccentric JRPG, but it's set in the suburbs of America. And basically all you have to do is replace hippies and possessed taxis with aliens. But I think it captures the essence of this film in many respects. So I'll go with Earthbound on the SNES.
I would have gone with, on Steam, the Kerbal Space Program.
Oh yeah, I know the one. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, DIY spacecraft, trial and error engineering, childlike wonder, explosive failures. The shared DNA is like building something impossible. We'll launch it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Hope it doesn't explode. Learn from the chaos.
It's
Again,
probably
I
bang
think,
on.
yeah,
Yeah, yours is probably correct. I think I just wanted to see, the Return of Earthbound because it's such a kind of legendary series for Nintendo.
yeah.
But yours is probably closer to the movie. IMDb. This is where we take a random 10-star and 1-star review. But before we do that, I try and guess how many written reviews there are for this film. I'm thinking there's more, say, than last week. Last week was like 140 for the fan.
Yeah, you'd be wrong.
There's less than that.
Yeah.
Oh shit. I thought there would be like a cult following for this one. There is a cult following, which is strange. All right, 72.
122.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, it's a little less. That's fair
You were
enough.
wrong by 20 is all I'm going to say.
To be honest,
142, but...
Dude, if you hadn't given me that clue, I would have been miles off anyway, because I was going to go like 230, if truth be told. So I was miles off. I thought it would be more popular. So 122, how many a 10-star? I reckon a lot of people have nostalgia for this. I'm going to go for quite high and say 31.
The exact same as last week, 14.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Probably more accurate. And again, it'll be that last act, which will ruin it for a lot of people.
Yeah. This one was written in June of 2006, titled "Gotta Love the 80s."
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Loved it when I first saw it. I recently, about a month or so ago, got it on DVD. Now I just have to get the Monster Squad on DVD. LOL. This movie is one of my favorites from the 80s. Why? Well, for one thing, the story and plot were really well done. I remember that every time it came on cable, I had to watch it. It doesn't matter how many times I've watched it, it brings back what the 80s movies were all about. There isn't many movies of today that can compare the 80s movies that were made in that time. I wish a lot of 80s movies were available on DVD. Sadly, they aren't, so I have to watch them on VHS. A few of them are kind of worn out. Explorers will always be my favorite of Explorers will always be a favorite of mine. Kids today should watch this movie. The special effects aren't overplayed and they fit with the movie just enough for the story. I don't care what anybody says, this movie sparks the imaginations in kids and lets them believe that anything is possible when it comes to dreams.
Well, it does for like an hour and 15, but what happens after that, we've already mentioned. 1-star reviews. I think it might be a similar-ish amount, maybe slightly less. 11.
3.
Fair enough, fair enough.
This one was written in March of 2020, titled "Now I Remember Why I Never Saw This Whole Movie."
Yeah, there we go.
Horrible, just terrible. Nothing in the first 2 acts justifies the 3rd act of this train wreck.
Yeah. Well, that's correct, I suppose. Yeah. And that brings us on scores and recommendations, which are really tricky, this one. Like, think the last couple of weeks, again, like we did the fan last week, I was just like, we felt pretty confident, all right, this is a 3-star movie, we would recommend blah, blah, whatever. With this film, I went back and forth because for over an hour, this is a 4-star film. The last act is borderline a 1-star movie. I've settled on 3. I at one point, when I first finished this movie, I was so upset by the way it ended that I was going to give it a 2. But having stepped away from it, I'm like, no. There's a lot to like about this film. This film is genuinely good for most of the movie. It's just because you leave the movie with that sour taste in your mouth. Like if it started poorly and got better, I feel like it would have been comfortable. So I'm going to go with a 3. And I'm not going to recommend it simply because I don't want people to be as upset by the last act as I was. So it's a 3 and a no from me.
Okay, for me, it is basically a 3 as well. I mean, the first two thirds we've already said, fantastic. The last third, but it for the last third, yes, you can lose 2 points. So it's definitely a 3.
Yeah. Like I said, like I'm watching this for the longest time. I'm just like, this is just solid 4-star material. Great cast, great effects, great 80s vibe. I love the throwbacks to the 50s stuff on board. And then it really is like a 1-star last 30 minutes, which like I said, to the point where I was like, is this a 2-star movie? That's how much it impacted me. But like I said, stepping away from it, I'm like, no, there's still loads of good stuff. So 3, but a no because of, far too many boring times.
It is definitely a no from me as well.
It is no from me as well. Yeah, cool.
In regards to would because unfortunately, I don't know, you'd recommend this to somebody and then they go, well, what the fuck was that ending?
Exactly. Yeah. Like there would be too many caveats. So yeah, that has been 1985's Explorers. Before we get to my choice, we have the quiz, I believe, the poor man's toe, or poor man's toe, as some people call it.
You're right. Yeah, we do have a poor man's toe quiz. I am just pulling it up now.
Here we go. Here we go. Game face.
Give me a sec. I had it ready, and then I realized that the last one we'd already done. So I'm just.
It's okay.
changing
I
it
mean,
now.
people love dead air in podcasts, so it should be absolutely fine.
Right. So, number one, a
Mhm.
kid magically becomes an adult overnight and immediately finds himself battling sorcerers, monsters, and ancient magic in the back alleys of Chinatown.
Is it
I've
literally
mixed.
just Big Trouble in Little China?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That
Yeah.
is pretty good.
Right. Four boys go on a life-changing journey to find a missing body,
Mhm.
whilst a man with a fractured personality spirals into chaos and self-inflicted mayhem.
Stand by Me, Myself, and Irene.
Yeah.
Dude, I like that film, Me, Myself. I think Jim Carrey absolutely knocks out the park in
Yeah.
that movie.
I think
When
he's
he
good in that
does
one.
like the transformation, the scene in the grocery store, and the whole Veggie Clean sequence is amazing. And I think when when you think back to like moments in cinema when you really did laugh your ass off, the scene when he tries to kill the cow. I'm not sure if it stands up now, but it hit the funny bone when it came out when I was like 20 years old. So
It was,
I need to revisit.
for me, it was when he was talking the guy down and he's got his thumb over the gun, he's talking him down, and you all think, oh, he's talked the guy down, it's fine. The guy just shoots his thumb off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I tell you, it's a good film. It's a good film. Anyway, sorry. So
That's
last
okay.
one.
And finally, a boy befriends a colossal robot from space, while a size shifting superhero shrinks, grows, and punches his way through increasingly chaotic adventures.
Iron Giant Man?
The Iron Giant Man, yeah.
The Iron Giant Man, sorry, yeah. I had to kind of get my head around how to say. I was like, no, just say the word, it's fine.
Yeah.
Iron Giant Man.
Yeah.
All right, good ones. 3 for 3 that week. I mean, they were a bit, compared to last week, he threw me a couple of curveballs last week. One of them in particular, I can't remember what the hell it was, but I was like, fuck, I wasn't getting that one.
It was the one where I mixed in Heat. What was it? Oh, I don't know if it was last week, but when I did Heat, Pray, Love.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that one was good. That one was good, in fairness. I should have got that one. Next week is my choice. We are staying in the year 1985.
Oh, okay.
The director, I'm not sure if this is going to mean anything to you, is Sam Furstenberg. Now, I know, right?
Bless you.
These two movies don't mean anything to me, but if they were going to mean anything to anyone, they'll mean something to you.
Okay.
So he is known for Cyborg Cop 2.
Oh, yeah.
And Blood Warriors.
Yeah, okay.
I don't want to say the main star because you will get it from the main star. Steve James. I'm not sure if that'll mean anything to you.
Yeah, Steve James. He was in American Ninja 1 to 5.
Oh, absolutely nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. Needs to say, just be clear, it's the first one. It is the first one.
Yeah.
But yeah, Michael Dudikoff, American Ninja. I watched this film so much when I was growing up. I can't remember anything about it. Absolutely anything about it. I was like, now's the time. I need to revisit American Ninja 1. I don't need to watch all the sequels. But what it does give us a great excuse to do is Rob's Sequel Corner, where you can talk me through all the fucking crazy sequels you've watched and what it was called in Indonesia and how somehow it's a sequel to Fast and Furious in Germany and all that. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, American Ninja from 1985, starring Michael Dudikoff. This is going to be interesting because I have no idea how this is going to hold up. Is it going to be charming? Because that's really the question. It's not going to be good, but will it be charming?
All I can remember from American Ninja, I'll have to revisit. I have seen all the American Ninjas.
By the way, I love the fact that you got it from Steve James. That is absolute fucking...
I love Steve James.
I would have never got it from Steve James. That's brilliant.
I love Steve James. As soon as you said it, I was like, well, the only thing he's done that we've talked about is going to be American Ninja. So,
but he was also in I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker. I'm not sure if you ever watched that film.
Yeah, I love I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker. Yeah, I mean, he was in Weekend at Bernie's 2 as well.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Blood Fist 5, Human Target.
Obviously, Blood Fist 5, Human Target. How could I forget? So, but yes, most famously, I would suggest from the American Ninja movies.
Michael Dudikoff only came back for the first 2.
Yeah. He did a classic best the best situation.
Yeah. And then David Bradley took over. Oh no. It's funny, David Bradley, he didn't come back to the first 2. David Bradley took over as a different character.
Can't even wait for the next episode. He's like, dude, I've got so much information to share.
Character. But then American Ninja 4, I believe, you get Michael Dudikoff and David Bradley together.
And don't think that's it. Don't think Rob's, if I was going to sound crass and say blown his load on this, I'm sure you'll have a lot more information when it comes to the sequels of American Ninja. So, and generally speaking, I look forward to it because I've only seen American Ninja 1. I never saw any of the sequels.
American Ninja 5
it'll all be news to me.
With Pat Morita.
Pat Morita. See, this is all news to me.
Who was also in, I believe, Bloodsport 2 or Bloodsport 3. Pat Morita.
Was he really?
Yeah, he was in one of them.
Unbelievable. Like the crossover is amazing. So yeah, it's going to be a good excuse to kind of take a look back at kind of like kung fu movies from the 80s and early 90s as well. But yeah, I think this is going to be a fun rewatch. Again, no idea how it's going to hold up.
Where
but
is
I
it?
suspect
Where can we watch it? Is it? I'm going to assume it's an Amazon Prime.
It is on Amazon Prime. It's on MGM. And MGM at the moment, you can get 3 months for like £1 a month. So you can, like, if you've never like signed up for MGM before, you can basically watch this movie for £1 and then just keep MGM for like another 3 months, or just keep it for a month and pay £1. Which I'm not doing that as a sales pitch. I'm just saying, if you fancy watching it, you can watch it for pretty cheap.
Are you getting a bit of a commission?
It'd be nice. It'd be nice. You know, maybe they'll advertise on the show. Who knows? MGM, if you're listening, please do give us a call. But yeah, I think let's give this film a bash. And as I said, there's quite a bit on MGM. God, it sounds like I'm just fucking advertising for MGM again. Anyway, this has been 1985's Explorers. Please do join us next week for 1985's American Ninja, a very different movie. Anything else to add before we wrap this up?
I do have something to add. If you don't want to watch American Ninja 2 on MGM, if you don't want to sub, it's free on YouTube.
Oh, nice. But that's American Ninja 2, yeah?
American Ninja 2, yeah.
Oh, so if you watch American Ninja for this podcast and you realize you just can't get enough American Ninja, you can keep going down the rabbit hole for free.
Oh,
which is probably
no.
Because we are going to discuss American Ninja 2.
You can only watch American Ninja 2 on free. The rest, all the others, you have to rent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or you can get them with the MGM subscription.
No, you can only get 1 and 2 on MGM.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
well, I mean, Jesus Christ. Chances are, if you're interested in watching all 5 American Ninja movies, I'm going to guess that you own all 5 American Ninja movies. Although, that's the thing, into the whole physical media conversation, blah, blah, blah. I wonder how difficult it is to get American Ninja. Sorry, one of us, if you've got your computer in front of you.
Yeah, I got it, yeah.
Can you just buy American Ninja on like Blu-ray, for instance? Because you think like the whole thing now is built for collectors, and you get some, we were talking last week about Matinee. You can't rent it anywhere. Joe Dante's Matinee, but Arrow have released a Blu-ray for it, so it's a really good transition. Everything, but it means you've got to buy the physical media. And
you can buy the used DVD of American Ninja.
No. But is there like a new like Blu-ray 4K box set, anything like that?
No, not at the moment. That's American Ninja DVD, $19.99 from Amazon Prime.
Oh, so it's hard to get then. You know it's hard to get. No, you can get on Blu-ray. Oh, dear God. American Ninja on Blu-ray. I typed it in. The first one that came up on eBay is £70.
I typed in DVD, sorry. Not Blu-ray.
American Ninja 1 to 4, the box set, is going for £100 on eBay.
Yeah, $199 on Amazon. The American Ninja 1 to 4 Collector's Edition Blu-ray, $100. And I'd be really upset paying £200 and not getting the 5th one.
Yeah, that seems bizarre. Like if I'm £200 on Amazon from 1 to 4. It's like, dude, complete the set for God's sake. It couldn't have been that expensive to sneak in the 5th one. Oh yeah, that seems funny. Bizarre. That seems funny. Oh, dude, I always, for some reason, whatever I might say, like I never watched the movie. There was something about the poster for American Ninja 3 which always caught my attention. Specifically, I have very vivid memories of seeing the American Ninja 3 Blood Hunt box art at the video store. But we can talk about it next week.
I'm wrong as well. Steve James was only in the first 3.
Oh, okay, yeah, he was definitely in the third one because he was on the poster.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
But anyway,
but that was the one where David Bradley took over, so they needed.
He's the bridging character.
Yeah.
No, fair enough. All right, I've been Liam. He's been Rob, and you have been listening to the Here Goes podcast. Cheers, guys. Bye.
Cheers, guys. Bye now.
Oh, and before I forget, where can folk reach us if they were so inclined to?
Well, you can actually reach us on Hey You Guys 80s at Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter. But if you want to send us a mail, do heyyouguys80s@gmail.com. Send us in your recommendations. Send us in your thoughts about any of the episodes. Just literally talk to us. We'll have a one-sided talk with you on the podcast.
Yeah. We're nice folk. Get in touch. But no, cheers, guys. Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys. Bye now.